So we lost audio for the first 2 minutes of this video, so I'm just going to voice over what I'm explaining here. Basically, I'm just saying this is the wife's YJ. You've seen it on the other videos. We did a lift kit and spring repairs and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, off camera right here, I am explaining that the frame was bent in a rock crash that the previous owner had done. We are going to build a bumper and a winch mount and a winch for the front of that, which is going to take place of some of the structural support, kind of stiffen it up. It's just the last 4 inches of frame that was really damaged. So by doing all that, it's going to really rigid up the front of the Jeep, on top of giving us a place to put the new winch. So let's bring it inside. So this right here is our rectangular tubing. It's going to be the main part of the bumper, the front face. My brother's already gone through and marked all of this. He's built a couple of these, several of these, hundreds of these. Anywho, so he kind of already knows all the dimensions by heart. So I had him go ahead and mark it up, and I'm just going to follow his lines, trim this thing out, and start welding and fabricating here in a bit. I'm working by myself today in the shop, so pardon the no dialogue. I'm used to talking to myself, but only in my head. So all we're doing right now is just kind of laying this straight edge to make the prettiest cut I can with a torch, get the basic shape. So this is kind of roughing it in, and we'll start the pretty stuff, the capping of it, the rounding the edges and everything after this. Debating whether or not I should freehand this plate. Hopefully I don't regret this. Not the worst freehand I've ever done. Gonna be the front profile bumper. It's gonna have a tow bar mount. So here we'll have a couple of ears. On top of that, we'll have some D-rings, potentially some lights. But this is the front profile, which you're gonna see looking at the front of the Jeep. Good heavy wall, be great for tow points, recovery points. This right here is some AR plate 1/4 inch. It's going to go across the top of the winch plate, starting on the back, over the top of the frame rails, which will be here. And this right here is the slide mount to give it strength on the side, hooking the frame horns, making it unboltable with drill holes and stuff. So the next step is we're going to roll this on its back, get it cleaned up. I'm going to smooth out these edges and put some 2-inch strap to cap it, burn the weld all the way in, polish it. We should be good to go. All right, so now that we got all this cleaned up, we got our 2-inch strap here. This is going to be our cap. I'm just going to leave it to length and cut it as I go. It's nothing too critical as long as we're kind of within the lines here, because we're going to grind it all rounded and fancy. And I'm going to have a gap. Looks like I'm going to have to weld. Again, no big deal. Probably going to put a little score in it right there to help it bend right there a little easier. And that'll be it for welding the cap, and then we'll be ready for smoothing off. Okay. Did one of them just say ow? This is my wife feeding our shop cats. Oh, I know they will. Those are our yard cats. Colette, if you wanted to pet one, now's your opportunity. Smiley will let you pet him if he's eating. They'll show up, I'm sure, eventually. He'll come back. Eventually, he'll just get used to it and then let you keep petting him. Oh, you came on. Oh, Colette, there's your orange one. Turn over here, underneath the red toolbox. He'll come back. All right, back to the work. Our roughed end result looks something like that. We gotta grind all the welds smooth. It's all capped. It'll be all rounded and look like a one piece when we're done. Same thing will be done to that other side. We'll just kind of time lapse that. No need to see the same thing twice. All right, so with a little bit of grinder, I'm gonna clean that up. All right, so the end result, after grinding all the welds, something just like that. This is not going to come out pretty, so I don't know if we want to fire. Okay. Why? Is that cause it on fire? So it was hard to hear in the beginning. We had some wind going on in the video, but this Jeep had been in an accident before. That black pipe that you see going across is not their factory. Neither is a lot of the stuff on the front of that Jeep. That frame had pretty much been folded in. Being this is a wheeling Jeep, not really a whole lot of highway use. It's not too critical. So we kind of shoved a piece of well casing in there. What he's doing right there is cutting off that receiver hitch that we had used on a wheeling trip before. We needed the D-ring for recovery. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean up a lot of that stuff that we put on the front of it to fit this bumper. And it's supposed to not only cover it all, but reinforce that front end that has been weakened. That's kind of the byproduct of this bumper, other than utility reasons. You want me to hit it with a hammer? Almost. So are we going to Anita's or? So this goes on for some time, but what we found out was there was a gusset that we had put behind there we couldn't see that needed to be cut off, and we kind of forgot about that. And at that point, nobody was recording and everybody was taking turns with the hammer, and we realized it later on and didn't get it on video. But it eventually does come off, and we felt like idiots when we finally realized what had happened. So what are you doing now? We got side plates cut, and honestly, I have no earthly idea why I just fired up the welder, because we've got to trim the frame up a little bit. So why you got to trim them? So what we got going here is, why did I use this one? That's the piece I needed. Making a fine little bit. So these are your side plates. And these are going to go right here to mount the bumper to the side, but we got to clean this frame up, get rid of this, get it flat, so we can put some bolt holes in here, and then that'll move this closer to this plate. We can weld it, and it'll all be one piece: a frame stiffener, a gearbox stiffener, a winch plate, and bumper, all in one. So again, with dropping the ball on recording things, we had also forgot to record cutting the winch plate. But what we're getting about ready to do here is cut the side plates for the mounts up against the frame. We got to trim up some of that well casing that protruded out so the plates would fit flush. In any case, you're going to see all that now minus the winch plate that we cut, but not much to that.
Metal. I think. There. See how it does?
Oh shit. I'm trying to show it to you. No. Yeah, let's try this way.
No. This one, see how it has the clips?
See the aluminum bell right here?
Yeah, no. Because I'm really not opposed to that oil leaking out and putting newer oil in it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what right? Not the
We don't run any wires through that pipe. We didn't know that. The same thing last week. Oh, my eyes.
I thought it would be in the head up here, if it was anywhere. But, nope. It's number of days.
I can run down to the shop and get the pipe cutter.
I have a big pipe cutter, but it won't. Chop right behind it and then try to slide it back.
That's looks like a little filter.
You got my clamper? Clamper, yeah. Clamp it to the frame, right above that bolt. No, we're good. Got it.
It's gotta be like right here.
Guys are such good fabricators. Don't fabric hobbling is what they call it. Did you cut a big enough hole so you can get that bolt out without moving that plate? I gotta cut it bigger. It's also too high up here. All right, mine's taking over.
All right, so we got the bumper done. We put it in some first coat paint just to see what it looks like. We got a little bit of body straightening we got to do, but that's pretty much the bumper. Next video will be winch mounting and tow bar and tow eyes and D-rings. And over here, we have our rodent patrol. They're on staff. We just feed them.
What are their names?
So in this picture, you have Scrunchy, which is the mostly gray one with a white chest and feet. That one's Mama's, the tan, white, and gray. That one that's walking over there that looks like her is called Little Girl. That's No Neck on the far left there, because he has no neck. And then Chonkus, the orange cat.
All right, so it's the next morning. Bumper's done, the paint's dry. We're gonna mount the winch today. The only deal is, this is AR plate. It's different than regular metal. It's abrasion resistant. And anybody who's ever messed with it before knows that it's not as simple as just drilling holes through it. It will dull some of the best bits you've ever seen. There is ways through it, ways that we don't have the ability to do right now. A mag drill would be ideal with certain bits. I'm going to get lazy and I'm going to burn holes through it with a torch. Make some nice tight, smooth ones, best I can, and go from there. But first is going to be fitment. So I need to go get that winch that's sitting right out of frame and bring it over to mark the holes. All right, so we're going to move you in over here. Try to get you a bird's eye view of what we're about to do.
All right, so that's pretty much the basics of it. We're gonna still do the tow bar. We got a receiver to put in, some D-rings, and some light tabs and lights, but there's the meat and potatoes of it right there. And the winch, make sure it's working.